everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing another art challenge. I had a lot of fun in my last video where I drew with Posca pens on black paper, and I thought today let's mix things up and we can draw with Copic markers on cardboard. So to start off, I'm going to be doing a bit of a sketch on this cardboard here with my graphite pencil. So this cardboard here I actually got from a box that came with a tambourine in it. Yes, I bought a tambourine and I thought, let's use this box to make an artwork. I like to recycle things and yeah, it was a good piece of cardboard. I've actually done a few videos quite a while ago where I did sort of paint on cardboard. I did gouache and I think I did acrylic paint as well. And yeah, I've never actually tried Copics here on cardboard, and I thought, let's try it out because it can't be too different to like toned paper. But I'm really curious to see how that ink sort of goes into the cardboard and how it sort of lays down and how it blends. So after I've got my sketch down, I'm just going in lightly with some fine liners here. I'm not going to go too crazy in detail with these fine liners. I kind of just want to outline different sections of the drawing and just get a nice basis down for which I can add details over the top with my Copics. And today I've chosen a castle to draw because I am predictable and yeah, castles, love them. I've been diving sort of headfirst into fantasy style art lately. My last video I drew a dragon skull and yeah, I'm loving it. I really love the fantasy vibe of artworks, and the subject matter is just something that's really dear to me. So as you can see, we're going in with our Copics now, and to start off I'm just using a few warm greys and some neutral greys as well to add in shading on this castle. Now as you can see, the Copics sort of lay on dark, and as the ink dries it sort of lightens up quite a bit, but I actually don't mind that because it allows me to get in more layers of detail, more layers of shading, and it's not too intense at first. And I just went in with a bunch of different greys, mostly warm greys, and I added in a sort of speckly texture onto the castle to sort of allude to bricks and, that sort of stone castle sort of look. I sort of wanted to keep to the warm feeling of the cardboard. It was a really nice base for me to sort of change my color palette into something that would work really nicely with this. And those warm greys really did fit well onto that sort of warm greyish beigey color of the cardboard. After this, I went in with some other colors because I wanted to sort of obviously have a colorful artwork. That's my kind of style. And I went in with some reds for the accents on the castle, as well as some yellows to be a sort of highlight on the side of the castle. And after this, I went in with some nice warm brown colors to go into the cliffs that the castle is currently on top of. I used a similar technique that I did on the castle with that sort of speckly look. However, I was a little bit more rough with this because I felt like I wanted to make some jagged looking rocks, as well as I used the chisel nib instead of the brush nib just to get some really sort of sharp sort of shapes. After this, the browns weren't really cutting it for me, and I wanted to push the shadows further and get some really nice deep shadows in those cliffs. So I decided to go in with a little bit of Prussian blue and a little bit of black as well for the shadows. And after this, I added a little bit of yellow into the highlights, just like I did on the castle. Now the reason I'm adding a bright yellow highlight to the sides of the cliffs and the castle is because I plan to add a nice moon in this, because I wanted a sort of moody sort of seascape. Well, not really sea because you can't really see the sea, but I wanted a bit of a sort of a dark sunsetty sort of feeling on this castle. Now I traced around a circular object to have that sort of sketch for the moon in the sky, and then after this I went in with some dark blues and some purples to add in the sky. I did a little bit of a gradient with this. I had Prussian blue at the top, and then I went into a deep violet color, and then after this I went into more lavenders and mallow colors and just sort of pinkish sort of purpley colors, and then after this I pushed it into the oranges and then yellow right at the bottom. Now I love these two colors, yellow and purple are my favorite colors, so of course I'm going to love a gradient in between them, and also it's really satisfying to see two complementary colors which are complete opposites on the spectrum sort of blend into each other. After I finished the sky and the moon, I felt like I needed to add just a little bit more brightness to this illustration because it was feeling a little bit too mid-tone. Of course, we started off with a sort of mid-tone color, so when you want to add in highlights, you really want to add in some brightness yourself. And I did this with a white Posca pen on the moon mostly, and before the Posca pen was completely dry, I grabbed a paintbrush with some water and I sort of just blended that white into the colors of the moon so that it has a bit of a glowy look to it. After this, I went in with my white gel pen, which was quite a bit thinner than the Posca pen, and I added some rim lighting to the castle and the cliffs. I kept the highlights mostly to the left side of the cliffs and the castle because that is where the moon is located, so that's where most of the highlights are going to sit. But of course, me wanting to push the contrast just a little bit more, I decided to add some highlights in some other areas as well, which is okay as long as most of them are on the left side of the castle. To sort of push that speckly look on the castle and give it that illusion of texture, I decided to add some little dots all over the castle as well with those sort of highlights, and that really did help me to sort of make the castle look kind of shiny, almost as if it is a little bit wet. Perhaps it was rained on or water was splashed on it from the ocean or something like that, but it really did help it to sort of look like it was glowing in that moonlight, and I really like those details. I did a similar thing with the cliffs as well, however I did a slightly different technique with the cliffs. I was a little bit more jagged and a little bit more rough and messy with the highlights on the cliffs because obviously it is more of a rough and jagged sort of surface that the light is going on. And overall, I really like it. Once I added those highlights onto this drawing, it really did feel like it popped out of the paper. When you are drawing on something that is a sort of mid-tone or a dark color with a transparent medium like Copics are, you really do want to use at least something to push just a little bit of highlights in there and really make it look like it's got a full tonal range. It really helps to make it look a little bit more realistic and just a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So after this, I went into the moon as well and I completed that circle, so you can see the moon has a white circle around the whole thing and then this sort of dark shadow on the moon, which I really like. And as you can see, I'm still going back into each area, adding more highlights here and there because I just can't help myself. I really love using the gel pen. It's just so fun to use, and the ink in the gel pen is really nice and juicy as well, and it flows really good too, so I love using gel pens in art. So after that, I wanted to add some clouds into this sky here because I felt like just a little bit more detail would be fun, and maybe a little bit more shadow as well because I pushed the highlights quite a bit. I want to add some more dark shadows in there just to give it a lot of contrast, and I went in with some sort of grey colours and purples as well for the clouds in the lower left hand side of the artwork. I feel like the purples look really nice against the warm sort of yellows and pinks because it sort of desaturates the purple quite a bit and makes it look a bit more greyish and a little bit more muted. But I actually really like that because that is what the clouds sort of look like on a sort of, you know, purpley yellowy sort of sunset. So in the darker areas of the sky, the sort of dark bluey purpley tones, I added in some black and really dark grey for the clouds because I felt like the purple wouldn't really show. So anyways, here is the final results of this artwork and I love it so much. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised about the cardboard and how well the Copics laid down on them. It does look really nice and I really like the sort of painterly look, and I really love the sort of colour choices in this artwork as well. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please smash like and subscribe to get your Scribble fix in the future, and let me know below what is your favorite type of building. Of course I'm going to say castle, but I want to know your opinions in the comments below. So anyways, thanks again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.